Hi, I'm Mónica Fernandes with Evolution Essentials. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 13 things women can do to cope with migraines naturally in 2020. Sometimes I feel one of the major causes of migraine can be stress-related. So stick around until the end because I have a free gift for you to help you reduce your stress. Now, I wanted to do this video because I get migraines. I've been getting them probably since my teenage years. Sometimes they're not as bad as other times, and doctors have been searching for years what the causes are for my own, and nobody can give me any conclusions. But I wanted to share with you things that have helped me over the years minimize the effects of a migraine. I don't claim to be a doctor, and I'm not telling you that I have the cure for that. I wish I did, and that I would just magically with a wand just flick it and make it go away forever for you or your loved one. But I wanted to tell you that I'm going to give you a little bit of statistics first. And according to the Migraine Research Foundation, migraine is an extraordinarily prevalent neurological disease affecting 39 million men, women, and children in the United States and 1 billion worldwide. 1 billion people. So everyone either knows someone who suffers from a migraine or struggles with migraine themselves. And if you didn't think about this as migraine is the third most prevalent illness in the world. Nearly 1 in 4 US households include someone that suffers from migraine. And amazingly, 12% of the population, including children, have migraines. So now this is a curious statistic. I've always known this, but this confirms it. And these stats are from 2019. 18% of American women, 6% of men, and listen to this, 10% of children experience migraines. So migraines are more common between the ages of 18 and 44. Mine started probably, I would say, earlier than 18. And it tends to run in families. In my case, I don't have anybody that suffers from migraine in my family. So that means the DNA starts with me. So most people don't realize how serious and incapacitating a migraine can be. So if you know somebody that has a migraine, you can think it's a really, really bad headache. But you know what? Every 10 seconds in the United States, someone goes to the emergency room complaining of head pain, and approximately 1.2 million visits are for acute migraine attacks. So most people experience these attacks once or twice a month, but more than 4 million people have chronic daily migraine with at least 15 migraine days per month. Do you know what that means? That means half of the time. My longest migraine was for 10 days, and that was about almost 20 years ago. So I guess I'm glad that I haven't had such a bad one. But one of the things that you can do is keep a migraine log. I keep a migraine log. Mine tend to be between 2.5 and 3.5 days. It's really much more than a bad headache. It's really a neurological disease. And, you know, it's typically a severe throbbing, recurring pain. It's sometimes on one side of the head, but in about a third of attacks, both sides are affected. In my case, it's both sides. And in some cases, other disabling symptoms are present without head pain. I wish I had that, but I do have the head pain is the worst. Attacks are often accompanied by one or more of the following disabling symptoms: visual disturbances, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, extreme sensitivity to sound, light, touch, and smell, and tingling or numbness in the extremities or face. About 25% of migraine sufferers also have a visual disturbance called an aura, which usually lasts less than an hour. And in 15 to 20% of the attacks, other neurological symptoms occur before the actual head pain. So it says that it's between 4 and 72 hours. So I'm right on the dot. Mine is 2.5 days normally, but I've had, my last one was 3.5 days. And it just sucks, you know, it really sucks. It diminishes your quality of life. And I just cannot imagine having this for half of the time for those people that have it. It's just horrible. So there's a ton of medications that are given for this, and I've tried a bunch, and unfortunately nothing really has worked for me. It's really, really horrible, and you just want it to go away. And unfortunately it affects women much more than anyone else. It affects about 28 million women in the United States. So that means that 85% of chronic migraine sufferers are women. So this is very disturbing. So one of the things that can trigger migraines is the hormone levels. And I definitely feel that in my case, it has to do with that. But I feel like my hormones are so out of whack that it doesn't happen always at the same time. It does happen once a month, but it's really not, there's not a specific time. But I do feel that it has to do with hormones for sure. And another one of my theories is that it has to do with barometric pressure. So anytime there's very extreme changes in weather, it seems like I get a migraine. And I've also had to abandon alcohol because I felt like that was a trigger. And there's different types of foods that will, you know, trigger migraine. And you can think of more inflammatory foods. Healthcare costs are very high, especially in this country, in the United States, and they're 70% higher when there's somebody that suffers from migraine in their household. And the scariest thing is that more than half of all migraine sufferers are never diagnosed. The vast majority of migraine sufferers do not seek medical care for their pain, and this is really crazy. Do me a favor, just give it a like. This helps my channel tremendously. So, what are the 13 things that women can do to cope with migraines naturally? The first one I'm going to talk about, and this is in no particular order, okay, is steam. Why do I say steam? Steam, just, I've done this, and this can be very alleviating. You get a pan with this, you know, purified water, you boil that, and then you take it, once it reaches boiling point, you take it out from the stove, and then you can put 1 drop of peppermint or 1 drop of lavender, or you can just do it without anything and just sort of put a towel around. Don't get too close because it can be really, really hot and you don't want to burn yourself, but you just inhale and inhale the steam from it, and do this for as long as you can. You don't have to do it like for a long time. Do it maybe for 5 minutes, and that should be enough. So that's one. The other one is actually the opposite, is ice. And I have, I'm going to show you what I have here that I use. So if you don't have any ice packs or anything like that, you can basically put some ice in a Ziploc bag and then put a towel, like a thin towel over it, and then use that ice to do it. The same thing with like a bag of peas or something like that. Just make sure that you have towel. You don't want to have ice burns. One of the things is something that my chiropractor gave me, and it's a chiropractic and massage supply, which is a gel pack that's a nice one that can be used hot or cold. I use it cold, and I just wrap a thin towel over it. The other one that's really cool is a frost-free one, and this one, you don't need a towel. It's like, it's cold, but you don't need a towel, and you put it on here. There's all these places. You can put it on your neck, you can put it on your head. You know, there's just so many different things. You just have to keep putting it back in the freezer so it remains cold for your next time. So definitely use that. And then the next thing is very similar. It's not similar, but it's something you can do also. Is you know, these things that you can put on your head, you know, that it can be cold or hot. So you can also do that. Somebody maybe gave you some pack, like a something that has maybe like beans inside or rice, and you can do the same thing. You can put it in a freezer and then put it into you know, and use that also. Put it on your eyes. That's a really, you know, easy way to do it. So my next one that's helped me a lot over the years, and I've mentioned it a little bit, is chiropractic care. Chiropractors really align you. And so, you know, I would recommend that you search a good chiropractor if you don't already have one. And word of mouth is the best way. And most chiropractors accept insurance. So your medical insurance can, you know, you usually only have like a copay that you can use for your chiropractor. So that's really, really helpful. So make sure that you look in your area, ask people. There's community forums of your town or your city online, on Facebook. Definitely search there, ask a question, you know, what chiropractor do you recommend? And then research that person and go. And if you like them, great. If not, just keep looking. You really want to have a professional that you trust and that you can, that's not super far from you, because when you have a migraine, you want to be able to really, you know, go very quickly, because it could be that you're misaligned. It could be so many different reasons, you know, but definitely the way that they align you and release some pressure, and it is very helpful. The next thing is massage. Now, sometimes with a migraine, you don't really want people to touch you. But if you don't mind people touching you, you can ask your partner, your spouse, or someone at home to massage your head or the back of your neck. Or if you don't have anybody, and that's okay, you know, you can use one of these. And chiropractors actually use these. This is very old, so it's like kind of beaten up, but it works awesome. And it has these, like, you see, it's like the paint's already coming out, but it has these like two little things, and it basically, you can go up and down your neck if you can reach on your it's electrical, you know, the speed you can adjust it. The vibration and the massage can really help, because your muscles tend to be very tight. One of the other things that I mentioned in the stats when I was going through them was the darkness and the sound and the light. So I find that it helps me when I'm in the dark. I can't have a lot of light. I can't be in the sun. I can't be outside. It's just too much. The sound really bothers me when things are loud. And I don't see auras, but I have become nauseous, and you really want peace and quiet as much as possible. And that you know means, you know, be in the dark, be in a relaxed position as much as possible. I know that there's no relaxed position that is perfect, because you're still going to be in a lot of pain, but try to find the one that is the least pain. So the next thing that sometimes works, it's worked a few times for me, is sleep. And I know it sounds, it's actually a double-edged sword, because sometimes I have slept and it just, you don't really have a good sleep, because you're waking up with pain all the time. You barely can go to sleep. You're just in so much pain. But sometimes you sleep, and this happens to me, it's during the middle of the day. If I take a nap, I always tell people I only take naps when I'm sick. And definitely migraine is being sick, because you can't be productive, you can't do anything, you're just completely you know, unproductive. And so when I have taken naps, I usually feel better. It doesn't happen every time, but you can try sleep. It may just that you will be able to sleep it off. I hope you're enjoying this video. Do me a favor and subscribe right here in the red button. Click that yellow notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. That's only if you're enjoying it, of course. And I thank you. Thank you so much for being here. The next thing that I use with much success, actually, is peppermint. Okay, peppermint essential oil. I don't know if you can see this peppermint. This is the peppermint that I use. I'll see if I can. No, this is like super out of, you know what I mean, peppermint. Anyway, peppermint is very potent, it's very powerful, and it has very good cooling effect. So what I would do is I just open the peppermint. This is undiluted. A lot of times I use an undiluted version like this, and I put it over here, not too close to the eyes. You don't want anything to be on your eyes. Then I also put some drops over here, and definitely some drops on the back of my neck. And you can also put a couple of drops under your feet, so your feet kind of, you know, you're kind of like a tree. It absorbs that way. But peppermint is really, really great to do that. And one that's a cousin of peppermint is a blend, and it's the Soothing Blend. I have an old bottle here. I just keep refilling it. And this is actually undiluted, but there's one that's diluted in fractionated coconut oil, which is just as effective. And the same thing, you just put it over here and over here. I usually, this really is very nice when I put it in the middle here, and then in the back of my neck as well. This has a bunch of oils that are going to have that soothing effect. It has peppermint, it has wintergreen, camphor, it has German chamomile, helichrysum, and osmanthus flower extract. So this is the Soothing Blend. And going again into essential oils, there's different essential oils that will help with you know, just help relieve head tension, and one of them is frankincense. And frankincense, some people, now frankincense is the king of oils, and it's from a resin. It's steam distilled from a resin, and I don't recommend that you use your oils internally unless they're the brand that I use right here, or you can obtain third-party chemical independent reports of what's exactly in a bottle, because otherwise it's just not safe to do it, because the majority of oil, they're adulterated. So you want to make sure that if it's something like this, that you can look up the report, because as it has a underneath, it has a lot number, and you can look exactly at what that report is by an independent lab. So if you want to know more about where and how to get your essential oils, please watch this video on why essential oils are so bad for you in 2020 and what you must research instead. So you can see that, and a lot of people put one, they open the bottle like this, and then they put their thumb like this, and then they put it on the roof of the mouth. Good, okay? And they say stay there for like 10 seconds or 20 seconds, and they swear by this to get rid of migraine. That can work for you. It hasn't worked for me, but it may work for you. Frankincense also can be put in a diffuser. And another one that really goes into your endocrine system is copaiba. And copaiba is another resin, believe it or not. It comes from Brazil, and you can do the same thing. You can put maybe a drop under your tongue. Again, it has to be either this brand or and get this directly from the company or from a wellness advocate like me. And that has really calming and soothing effects for your endocrine system. That's the system that deals with the hormones. So that's a really great one. Another one that I've found effective at times in the diffuser is rosemary. Rosemary is just a great oil for the brain. And so because we're dealing with migraines, it's the brain. So another thing that I kind of touched on, but I wanted to go back to, is you want to make sure that you eat really good foods. Don't put inflammatory foods that may trigger that, like cheeses and, you know, dairy, cheese, wine, processed food, junk food, things like that. Your system wants nutritious, healthy, good foods. And so try to eat in the rainbow, but lots of produce, lots of vegetables, good organic protein, and that means a combination of things. So if you are a meat eater and a fish eater, I recommend that you do a huge combination of that. So going back to essential oils that can help, lavender. Okay, lavender is probably the I would say the most well-known essential oil in the world, and it's all things calming. And so lavender can really help soothe, just because it's calming to the emotions as well. So you can put this in a diffuser. That way you're smelling it and you're breathing it in. Watch this video right here on the 8 top essential oils for anxious feelings. So another blend is the tension blend, and I don't have it here. I forgot to bring it with me, but the tension blend also is good for head tension. So that's it for essential oils. The next and final tip that I have for you is acupuncture. Now, if you are afraid of needles, there's acupressure. So find someone that knows the pressure points, the trigger points. A lot of times your chiropractor can help with that, or someone that is knowledgeable about it. Acupressure can help you with that. Acupuncture with the needles, first of all, it doesn't hurt, so it's a myth. Those needles are so thin that you can barely feel them, and it's not a hurtful thing. And a lot of people use acupuncture for head tension relief. So try that. Again, just like I said with the chiropractor, make sure that you are finding someone that is good. That means word of mouth is the best. To me, is the best way to find someone that is reputable and that you're going to like. And usually acupuncture, you just sit for, usually it's an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and they put in the needles in specific places to basically release that tension of your nervous system, so in the nerves, and you just stay there, you lie there. Some people fall asleep in the acupuncture session, and you just fall asleep there for an hour. I mean, it's very relaxing, and if it helps your head pain go away, hey, do it, absolutely do it. And of course, like I mentioned with the sleep, you can meditate and you can do all these things if you feel so inclined. Sometimes you're just too nauseous and too in pain to really focus on that. There's nothing you can think of. But these are some of the things that can really help just minimize the head tension that you have. I hope you got major value from this video. Please leave me a comment with your favorite method of relieving head tension. I would love to hear from you. I always want to learn, so it would be great if you give me your tips too, because I'll try them next time, and then I'll give you feedback on how it worked.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. See you next time.